In this video, I will look at a fairly straightforward question on taking a graph g equals minus 4 cos x plus 30. And so we're going to answer questions that follow, but just to think about this graph quickly, I can just type this into my calculator and I would make the steps 30 just to be safe. But what does this basically look like? So for starters, just to get a visual, it's a cos graph, so it should look like a valley. It's minus 4 cos, which means it's instead of being a valley, it's going the opposite way, so it's more like a hill, and it will be a lowest at 4 and a highest at minus 4. And then it's because it's plus 30, the answer that comes out of there is minus 30. So it's actually gone 30 to the left. And so minus 4 minus 30 would be about there. And that's kind of roughly what your graph would look like. Obviously, you would only start it here at 0 if the domain was 0 to 360 like normal. If the highest point should have been at 4, that would have happened at 180 and 4, and so it's just shifted left 30, so its highest point is at 150 and 4. If the lowest point should have happened at the end of the graph, which would have been at 360 and minus 4, it's just gone back 30, so the lowest point is 330 and minus 4. All of that is more just for discussion purposes, because you could have just used your calculator to plot all the points you need. So write down the maximum value of this graph. That's just the highest that it goes up to. So that would be pretty straightforward. The answer is just 4. Determine the range of g plus 1. So it's the range of the graph as I see it, which is minus 4 to 4 and plus 1. So it would be minus 3, and it's to do with y, and up to 5. It can include, because the graph does go through here. There's not an asymptote. Last one, it's shifted 60 to the right and then reflected about the x-axis. So two things. We said in the beginning that the graph has shifted 30 to the left. And so if I take this graph and I shift it positive 60 to the right, my net result is that I'm plus 30. So my net result is that I've ended up from this graph as I have it, I've ended up 30 to the right. And so the bracket for being 30 to the right would be x minus 30. And then if it's reflected about the x-axis, what changes if you reflect about the x? The y value changes. So I just put a minus there. So that's dealing with this and this. And then to make it in its final form, I'm going to call it, instead of y, I'll call it hx. And I'm dividing both sides by a negative. So it just becomes that. And there's your final graph. I hope that you found this little video helpful. If you did, please like it, subscribe to our channel, and share it with your friends. Thanks.